Today I'm going to be opening up the April Scrawlrbox. I don't know if you're as excited as I am to open it, but I'm going to pretend you are. Ooh, okay. So, the art supply is... Oh, dang, this is gorgeous. Okay, so the art supplies are these Eagle Line brush pens, which I have used before. What is this, baby? It's a little white kneaded eraser. Let me get it out of this clear prison. Coming on out, baby. So this is a kneaded eraser. There's a bit of a smell to it. Kind of smells like makeup. Is that weird? I love kneaded erasers because the cool thing about kneaded erasers is when you erase, you know how you'll get like those eraser shavings everywhere and it's just like a huge mess? These erasers don't do that. They actually absorb the graphite instead. So they're kind of like my go-to because growing up I drew a lot on my bed and you don't want eraser shavings in your bed, let me tell you. That's all I'll say about that. I like the color though. I've only ever seen like the gray ones, or in my case, they turn black the more that you've used them because they're absorbing that graphite. Honestly, it like leaves bits of everything on me, so probably time to say goodbye. The candy this month is this little fruit salad candy thing. I've never had that. That'll be exciting to try. For a pencil, we have the Viking Element 1 Graphite Writing Pencil HB. There is no eraser, but we have this baby. I feel like I want to name this Beluga. I don't know, are you seeing what I'm seeing? For pens, we have these two Unipin fine liners, which I believe these have little, yes they do. Okay, yeah, I've used these. These are different colors. This one's dark gray and this is light gray, but they do have that cute feature that I love. The little windows for the nibs. That brings me so much joy. That's ridiculous. This is a 0.5 and this darker gray is actually a 0.1. And finally, the main attraction. We have the Eagle Line brush pens. It looks like it's the pastel pack. This is actually gonna be perfect because this may be the April box, but it is currently May. And I wanna draw some mermaids. And these are actually watercolor brush pens. Really pretty packaging. We have cold gray light, pastel rose, pastel violet, pastel blue, and I'm gonna guess what is this pastel? Green. Yep, there we are. So I believe these are brush tippies, like so, and they're filled with liquid watercolor. I have used one of these in the past and I really liked it, but I used it in like conjunction with like liquid watercolor and I think it was a watercolor pencil, and it worked really well. I'll have that video linked if you want to check that out. That actually went really well. I'm thinking about it. Do these connect like... No, I don't know why I thought maybe they'd... Never mind, it's fine. Just crushing all my hopes and dreams. Let's see what kind of paper they've included. Those don't look very pastel. I don't know, maybe some other people got other colors. So the artist who created this beautiful calligraphy piece here is Kiki B, and you can find them on their Instagram at the Kiki B. And then the paper looks like we have some watercolor. Ooh, that's nice and thick. It's a little bit off-white. Let's see what they say about this. Okay, I don't think they mentioned the paper. That's weird. Yeah, they don't mention the paper. Usually they mention what paper this is, so if you like it, you know, you can go out and buy more of it, but yeah, no information on that. I wonder if that means it's Canson XL watercolor paper. I've been doing all my Mermay pieces on this paper right here. So I'm gonna actually test the supplies on both in case I want to try and, you know, go that route. I do roughly know how they work, so I'm just gonna swatch them out. Okay, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna get away using it on my cardstock. Now you see that these pens are actually transparent, so you can layer them on top of each other. And I believe since they're watercolor, you can actually blend them with water before putting them on the canvas. So here's a palette that I've used with my core watercolors, and I'm gonna try some of these cleaner spots, adding water to these and seeing what happens. Wonder if you should just put this in there or grab a brush. Now you can see like the little gradient that made. And if you layer it, you'll get like a nice darker color. Although I am noticing that this paper, so it's kind of like beat up if I go over it too many times with the watercolor. So I'm gonna have to keep that in mind. Let's start sketching out some ideas here. I definitely want to draw mermaids, so I want to figure out the pose. The cool thing about doing mermaids is I think it really helps you create more expressive lines in your characters because mermaids are usually very swishy and floaty. That's why I would encourage anyone who's interested to definitely give Mermay a try. Let's see here. Maybe this fin's pointing out back this way. That's kind of interesting. I think my favorite part about this is just the way the hands are, or the arms more like. Oh, I guess I probably should mention that I am doing Mermaid, so I'm trying to draw a mermaid every day for the month of May, and I'm posting them all over on my Instagram, so if you're interested in seeing those drawings and sketches, I will have a link in the description where you can quickly check that out if this video is boring you, you know? And then when it comes to like hair with a mermaid, I like to use it to like, I don't know, help lay out the drawing. So right now we have a very weird shape. Not sure I made the right decisions, but we can usually take the hair and kind of fix some mistakes. So like fill this white area. I'm usually pretty lazy when it comes to drawing scales, so I'll just draw the odd one here and there. Now, while I had a little too much fun with this sketch, it doesn't really lay out the page, and what I do want to draw it on this paper here, so we need to keep that in mind when we're thumbnailing. So I'm going to draw just a quick rough rectangle. Oh wait, blobfish. What if she's just like floating there? I suppose I could draw a dude. Nah. This one's kind of boring me. Let's try it again. I am using the watercolor paper, so I would like to try throwing on some colors. I wonder what happens if you do put it over the graphite. Does it make a mess? Ooh, we could have some like hue shifts here. Ooh, that's actually really pretty. You can use these over pencil, although there is a little bit of a discoloration on the tip there. We could try something a little bit more dramatic for a pose with like foreshortening and stuff. Like this is her shoulders. Hands are going way back. And then her body would get really small in the background. Like that. Ish. And she'd be like looking straight up, kind of like Ariel coming out of her cove. Here's a tip. If you can't figure out how to draw it small, you're probably not gonna be able to draw it larger. Which is why thumbnails are a great place to start. And with a little blobfish. Maybe the hair's going behind her. So after a few sketches, the only thing that's really like inspiring me, like the part I like the most, are like the way these arms are. What if we didn't do like a full body shot? Like mostly head and torso? Then we can fit those arms in I want. The tail bend this way. Is that a bit of a stretch? So that we can like pull the tail back into the frame? I don't know. Might work. It's a little crazy. Since there's so few scales in this picture, maybe I can actually go ahead and draw them all. Maybe the bra can be made out of like a bunch of shells. Get some tone in here, see where that looks good. Try to keep the drawing inside the squares as much as possible so I can have a better like visualization of what that's going to look like. Maybe blobfish could be right here. Yeah, he fits there. That's kind of cute. And some nice bubbles for aesthetic purposes. So yeah, let's move on to our sheet of paper. This is where it gets a little nerve-wracking. Don't want to mess up. The head is like in the top leftish bit here. We want to draw really light and really make sure we get the shapes and everything fitting onto the page. That's the hair, by the way. Shoulders are kind of tucked down that way. Takes a good eye to realize what the differences are between two sketches, especially when you're trying to make them the same. I think it's this area right here. Might bring this hand down a bit, kind of fill that space. Then we have blobfish up here, as happy as can be. And then her tail, we wanted it to come back around. I wonder if I could grab this other piece of paper that we're not using and figure out where this will be. Now that's way lower, isn't it? We had it like filling in this space. But I feel like this makes more sense anatomically. Although mermaids are mythical, right? We can draw them however we want. Maybe they have very long tails. Personally, I kind of like this because I feel like it all points up towards their heads now. Like this tail's pointing up at the faces. The hair kind of like points up at the face, the body, you know? It's kind of what I'm thinking about when I'm doing this. Get this nose. Although I don't know why I'm rendering anything. I'm going to erase the pencil, aren't I? My bad. I got lost in the drawing, I guess. Cool thing with the knead eraser, you can actually just like rub it back and forth like this and it'll pick up some of the lead without taking all of it, and then you can kind of fix some of your mistakes without having to worry about like scrunching the paper when you're like, argh. Let's make these straps more ropey. So maybe they're like made out of knots. been like fighting myself because sometimes I like to keep it really simple and sometimes I like to go in with a little bit more details. And it basically just comes down to parts start getting like boring and repetitive and you want to change it up a bit. For the most part, I kind of do the same thing over and over again. And I'm happy, so good enough for me. Straight across. I don't think I've done that yet. So this fabric goes into the back and then there's like a tie in the back, but then the ropes also come up in front and like crisscross a bit. So they crisscross probably in the center here. So let's make sure that happens. I guess that would look something like this. And then maybe this fabric is like overlaid with some seashells. Figure out how that would look. Just use some basic shapes for now. Pearls kind of lining the top there. You also need some scales down here. What if she has like a hat with like a narwhal? Like it's just one of those hats you kind of like had to pin into your hair because it's like only on the side. Or it could be one of those shells that just looks like that. That's kind of interesting. Gives some visual interest to like the top half of the drawing here. Not too shabby. A little bit more elegant, a little bit more like vintage, like is that 50s or 40s, that swoop? Although they would be pulled much closer to the forehead, but you know, inspired. The wave. And I like it because it looks like it's like kind of following the flow of the water. Oh, we still didn't do this hand. Shoot, where is that supposed to go? And she has a very large head, but I only just realized that, so I'm not really willing to do anything about that. I'm not going to put a lot more detail into these shells because this sketch kind of gives me enough to work with, and then I can just do it with the line art. Otherwise, I'm kind of doing the same job twice, you know? I need blobfish. Maybe the tail goes back that way. Erase, erase, erase. Draw, draw, draw. I feel like that eye's too far to the left. Yeah, I like that better. Yeah, I like that a lot better. So what I'm going to do, take the kneaded eraser and kind of just rub the drawing so that we lighten it up. See how it's collecting on there? And then I don't have to worry about, you know, scrunching the paper. Although this is probably gonna end up all over my hand, isn't it? Like this. So now we have a nice light sketch that I can work with the line art. And I believe if we like stretch this out, even out the graphite. There we go. Beluga's back. Alright, I'm going to start with the 0.5 and do the eyeliner. Like that to be pretty bold. I won't color in the eyes in case we want to color them. We basically just trace over all our favorite lines. The more work you did in the sketch layer and like time you put into figuring out which lines you like the best, the easier the line art stage is. Because, you know, you've already laid that groundwork. Even after erasing most of the pencil, it's a very similar color to this light gray. So I kind of like have to stop and think, did I do that already? No, I didn't. Okay, let me go over that. I've been kind of challenging myself to put as few lines into the hair as possible and still having it look like hair. Sometimes I fail and I'm just like, yeah, screw it, and I put in a ton of lines. But each time I start a drawing, I try my best. 2 ropes down. Let's do these seashells that I left later. It's later now. I think that's turning out pretty good, actually. No complaints so far. Kind of messed up that shell, but we won't talk about it. There we go. Getting somewhere. Now we need some more ropes down here. This hand I'm a little concerned about. We'll see. Got a finger. Got another finger. Okay, they're a little... It's alright, it's alright, it's alright. Nothing's ruined yet. Alright, it's a little French fry, but it's fine. That's a little less French fry. There we go. Now that the line art is done, we can go in with Beluga again here. And erase some more. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. Next up, we want to add some colors. Although, wait. I want to take a picture of this so I can keep it as line art. All right, picture's taken. We wanted very light blue skin. Just a little bit of water there. And then, yeah, let's try that. Let's do it in an area you might not look at first. Test that out. I think my goal is to kind of try and get a nice base layer without too many streaks before I like going in and start adding in maybe shading or texture. Since these are transparent, it's kind of a little tricky. Just gotta work fast. Get a little darker here, it might be in shadow. I always like to wait a little bit before doing the face. It's like get a good grasp of the art supplies so we can try and avoid too many streaks. Like if you make a mistake in the art, whatever, but like the face, I want it to like kind of showcase that maybe I do kind of know what I'm doing sometimes on occasion. Add a little bit of shading along the hairline. Maybe try and add a little blushy blush to the nose. A little bit of a hue shift. You see how it's like eating the paper a little bit? I'm not really sure this paper is what I would suggest for these markers, personally. Now once this purple gets its life back, we can start doing the scales maybe. Kind of trying to avoid some of the scales. Give it more fun texture. Then we go in with the pink and fill those in. I really like the color that creates when you layer the pink and the purple. Maybe outline some of these shapes with the purple. It'll create shadows as it like layers on top of itself. And dilute the pink a little and maybe come up on the blue a bit. Create a gradient. And then in the background here, we want this to be very dark purple. So let me go over one layer of purple. Okay, I don't know why it's freckling over here, but that looks kind of gross. Not a fan. Wonder if I was supposed to use the other side of the paper or something weird. Because when I try to get like a really dark color, it's not too pretty. It's just to go in with the hands. I'm going in with the light purple. Kind of add some texture to the hands here. Little fleshiness. Yeah, you can only layer them so much. It's not like bleeding through the paper or anything, it just creates that ugly freckling. And then I think I wanted the hair kind of the same color as that. So let me try and not make the same mistakes I did with that. Ah crap, I'm gonna have that big line there. My bad. Try to fill the sections. I always get really frustrated when the art supplies I feel like are fighting me. Like whenever I try to use this pen on this paper more than once, it like peels the paper and you get these like, it's almost like eraser shavings, but it's the paper. And I feel like that just makes your art look very, very amateur and it kind of frustrates me. And it's not fun. It's just not fun. That's the blunt of it, really. See where it's got the weird dark patches? That's where it's happening the worst. Yeah, and it's like impossible to get a nice even coverage with this. I think that's the paper though. It's not these markers, because I use these markers on nicer paper. Was it just the Canson paper? And I do not remember having this trouble. Yeah, I think it was the Canson XL watercolor paper. And it did not have this problem. Yeah, you can get like the first layer down, but then as soon as you try to get it any darker, ooh, hold tight. You're in for a bumpy ride. The seashell, I think I'll have it. Ooh, I wanted it to be light pink. Do some color around the eyes a little bit here. Maybe some pink eyeballs, pupils, whatever. All right, now I'm a little worried about the background because I wanted to do a little bit of layering for that. But I mean, we're already this deep in, and I did take a picture of the line art, so I still have something I like. Let's layer a little bit of green. So I want it to be solid green at the bottom. I should probably do one. Let's do the small section first. Do a couple layers of that. Come up a little bit here. So it's a little bit murky. And then let me try putting some blue over top, like a light blue. Looks like that. I don't know. Doesn't look the way it did here. Maybe it needs more blue. But I'm getting that speckling that I really, really don't like. And then as it goes to the top, it should be just blue. Could probably get white at the top if there's enough sun there, right? I'm not sure it really looks the way I expected it. I don't know, something about this looks way waterier. I think it's the splotchiness of that. It's like color in splotches. Great like shapes. Yeah, I do think that actually looks better. A little bit more like the thumbnail at least. My favorite part of this drawing right now is this hand right here. I feel like there's no beading. It's nice and, I don't know. It's just the way I pictured it in my head. It kind of looks like the coloring. But the rest of this, I don't know. Can you see? I don't know how gross that looks. It looks like I used like Crayola watercolors. And I've used these art supplies in the past and they've not done that. So I think I'll have to blame the paper. I don't, like here, I actually have, I was really happy with the way the sketch was going. I feel like I put an adequate amount of time into it, and then the colors just, ugh, look at it. I feel like it doesn't even look as bad as it's making me feel. But like I wanted to darken up this hair a couple more times so that it was darker than, you know, the rest of the purple in the drawing. But when I do that, it just looks worse. So I think I'll just leave it. Let me try. Can you tell? Do you see the little bits? That's the paper just shredding underneath the marker. See those little bits? That's just the paper. I don't know, man. But I do like the illustration I created before I put the color on. Yeah, they never listed the paper. Well, at least we got a little beluga here. There's the bright side. Anyway, I do want to thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching me unbox the April Scrawlrbox, even if the end result wasn't what I was expecting. It was a fun process up until, I don't even know what to say. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. I do want to thank Scrawlrbox for sending me this box for free to try out and to share with you guys. And don't forget, I am doing 31 mermaid drawings over on my Instagram if you want to follow me there. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys all next week, and I hope you have a delicious evening full of waffles. Bye!